everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going on a bit of a guided tour into a really amazing piece of human anatomy, the breast. We're going to peel back the layers and explore the intricate, kind of elegant architecture that's hidden just beneath the surface. So let's get right into it. It's one of the most familiar parts of the human body, right? But it's also, funny enough, one of the most misunderstood. So what is really going on under the skin? Well, that's what we're here to find out. We're going to explore the incredible design of this really essential system. All right, first things first, we're going to start our journey right on the surface. Before we dive any deeper, we've got to get our bearings with the external landmarks that, well, pretty much everyone recognizes. So, on the outside, there are three main things we're talking about. First, you've just got the skin, which is the protective outer layer, of course. Then you've got the areola, that's the pigmented circular area, and right in the middle of all that is the nipple, and that's the crucial exit point for this whole system we're about to explore. Okay, now for the really cool part. Let's head inside and look at the functional core of the breast. This is what's called the glandular system. You can basically think of it as the engine room. It's where all the main biological action happens. So where does it all begin? Well, it starts with these things called lobules. These are tiny, tiny glands, and their whole job is to produce milk. A fantastic way to picture them is as these little clusters, almost exactly like tiny bunches of grapes. This is ground zero for the whole process. Okay, so if the lobules are the little factories making the milk, how does it get where it needs to go? Well, that's the job of the ducts. Think of them as this super intricate network of tiny tubes, like a biological highway system. They branch out just like a tree, collecting milk from all those grape clusters and channeling it all toward the exit. So let's just run through that pathway again. It's actually super straightforward and elegant. Step 1, the milk gets produced in those little grape-like lobules. Step 2, it travels through that whole network of ducts. And finally, step 3, it's released through the nipple. It's a perfect example of form following function. But wait a second. What's holding all of this in place? I mean, you've got all these glands and tubes. What keeps it all together? Well, that brings us to the support structure, the scaffolding that gives the breast its shape, its volume, and all of its integrity. And there are really two key players doing the work here. First, you have adipose tissue, which is just a fancy word for fat tissue. Its main gig is to provide volume and cushioning, basically filling in all the empty space. Then you have Cooper's ligaments. These are these tough, fibrous bands that act like internal support wires, connecting to the skin to help maintain its shape. So you can kind of think of it this way. One provides the fill, and the other provides the form. All right, we've covered the engine room, and we've covered the scaffolding. Now, let's go all the way down to the bottom layer of our tour, the muscular foundation that actually anchors the entire breast to the rest of the body. And what is that foundation? It's one single powerful muscle you've probably heard of, the pectoralis major. It's that big muscle in the chest wall. And the entire breast structure, the lobules, the ducts, the fat, all of it sits right on top of it. It's the solid base for everything else we've just talked about. Okay, so we've looked at all these different parts, right? For this last section, let's just pull the camera back a bit and see how all of these individual components we've explored come together and function as one single, beautifully integrated system. So, here's the quick and dirty summary. You've got the lobules, which are the milk factories. You've got the ducts, which are the delivery network. The adipose tissue gives it volume and acts as a filler. The Cooper's ligaments provide that crucial structural support, and all of it rests on that solid foundation of the pectoralis muscle. See, every single part has its own vital role to play. When you really stop and look at it, it's clear that all these parts form one incredibly elegant, highly specialized system. But here's the thing, it's not a static structure, it's always changing. And that makes you wonder, right? How does this intricate architecture adapt and respond to things like hormones and age and pregnancy throughout a person's life? Now that is a fascinating question, and probably a story for another time. Thanks for coming along on this tour with me.